Hello, and welcome back to another segment in Excerpts of a Spiritual Ascension. Hopefully, you've been following along with me over the last week or so. I'm here to kind of provide information on the spiritual ascension process. Try to answer any questions you may have if you are going through this, and kind of relay some of my experience over the last 5 years of my journey. So, what I wanted to talk to you today about was patterns. Along your journey, um, you're going to start to, your intuition is going to start to pick up. And you've all probably heard about angel numbers, like consecutive numbers. Um, One of the most significant things of awakening is starting to see 1111 on the clock. Um, and people will see it and they're kind of like later on through just speaking to someone, they'll say, yeah, I did keep seeing 1111, but I didn't know what it meant. And um, that's kind of the way of universe kind of waking someone up. Okay. And that's the first thing of a pattern that you may notice. Something I'll talk about later on is what I call spiritual navigation. And during my journey, towards the end of the last 2 years, in order for me to get to from point A to point B as to where I am now was a significant journey. And Spirit had kind of told me over 7 years ago to go to a certain point, another state. And I just knew I needed to get there, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. When eventually, I was working on Wall Street at the time. I didn't know how this was all going to transpire. And anyway, long story short, I ended up exactly where I had been told to go. And the thing is, things that had happened during the first year of my journey around the same time, things were happening the next year around the same time, and then the following year around the same time. So I started picking up these patterns to know that, okay, I should expect something significant to happen during this time of year. Um, I also, I had lost my 19-year-old son back in 2007. And just before, a couple of days before he passed, um, I think this was kind of the start for me. I started getting really bad headaches. And I noticed later on, whenever I would get these headaches for, 3, 4 days straight, that something significant would happen within that next week, those next couple of days, just as my son's passing happened a few days after that first series of headaches. That first time, the headache was so bad that I ended up going to the emergency room because I'm saying, like, this is day 3 now that I have this headache and it's not going away. Even though I was taking, medication for it, it still wasn't going away. So I went to the emergency room and I think they just gave me something stronger. Um, but I noticed too that I hardly ever get headaches as it is. But when I would get these headaches, I can take like medication and it would dull the pain, but it would not go away for like 3, 4, 5 days sometimes. And then it would go away. And then something significant in my life. Usually it kind of meant something about movement. It was time for some kind of movement in my life. So just starting to recognize these patterns. Um, we all have a different way of reading the universe's patterns towards us. What I may recognize may not be the patterns that you may recognize. There's kind of those universal ones as far as consecutive numbers, or some people call them angel numbers, which are very, very helpful. I know in the last few days, I always say there's a time when spirit's really quiet with me. Like I'm not getting any signs, I'm not getting any signals or anything. And it's kind of like, I don't want to say what do you call it, the quiet before the storm? Because it's not always a storm. Sometimes it's just something major is going to happen, or not, doesn't even have to be major. There might just be some kind of movement in my life at that time. Or something occurs, or someone shows up, something on that order. But just learning to, and that's why I journal. I don't know, I have a bunch of these. I just get these from Walmart, these notebooks, and I have, I used to have a whole collection of them. And then along my journey, I kind of lost a lot of my writings. But every day I journal, you know, early in the morning, in the evening, sometimes during the day, just any thoughts that come in. And you'll notice too that these things that you may say later on, as your intuition starts to peak, that they come to be. Okay. Because not only, which I'll talk about later on, the vibration of your voice helps to bring in manifestation. And so that's why you always want to make sure that whatever you're saying is on more of a positive note, but also your writing too. Okay. So I really have always emphasized for any of my students to journal their thoughts down, because they can look back and see that things that they talked about in the past or have come to be, and it could have been just a week before. And I can't believe that, what I was just talking about, someone may say out loud to me or something. Um, and in mention of that, I do have several courses online, and the link to those are below. Also, if you would like to spend time with me, having any questions about your own experience or my experience, there's another link for you to book time with me, and I would really, really enjoy spending that time with you. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next segment.